Hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne McCotter, and I'm the Dean of the School of Education here at TCNJ. I'm so glad that you're able to join me for a little while, and I hope that you are one of our future Lions and that I get to meet you in person over the summer or in this fall. I've been the Dean at TCNJ in the School of Education for 3 years. Before that, I spent time at Montclair State University and Millersville University in Pennsylvania. The most important part of my professional preparation, though, was as a middle school teacher. I still picture myself teaching sixth grade, and most of what I've learned about being a good teacher and leader comes from that. We often say that TCNJ is a hidden gem, that it's a high quality, high value education, very personalized, that not a lot of people know about. The exception to that rule is that we are not hidden in the world of education in New Jersey. We are highly acclaimed. In fact, some of you may be thinking about TCNJ because when you decided you wanted to be a teacher, you went and asked your best teachers where they went to school, and they told you that they're TCNJ alums. That's also true of superintendents and principals around the state who tell us that when they get a lot of resumes for a position, they move those of TCNJ students to the top of the pile. They know our students come out well prepared and they're eager to hire them. No matter where you go to school in New Jersey to become a teacher, you can't only major in education. You have to have another major as well. At TCNJ, we call that dual majors. At most institutions in the state, you enter as your other major, and then at the end of your sophomore year, typically, you apply to the teacher education program. Here at TCNJ, we really want you to feel like you're part of the education family from the very first day you step onto campus. So you start out with two majors and you're accepted into teacher education from the time that you're here. In secondary education, if you want to teach middle school or high school, your second major will be the subject that you want to teach. That might be physics or mathematics or English. In elementary and early childhood, as well as special education, your second major can be one of 14 different choices. Some of the most popular choices for students are iSTEM, psychology, and English, but you've got a world to choose from. There are several requirements within New Jersey that we help you to meet. So at other institutions, one of the things that you need to do before you can get accepted into teacher education is demonstrate proficiency in basic skills. Here at TCNJ, we want to make sure that we are not limiting ourselves to finding great teachers by looking at a single test score. So we do have requirements. The state has requirements for your basic skills that you can show by passing scores on SAT or ACT, or if you don't have those minimum, by passing the Praxis Core test. From the time you come in, we try to make sure that we know who does and who does not have those scores, and then we put you into courses to help prepare you to meet those tests. Before you get certified, you'll also have to take and pass another Praxis exam in your content area, and also take and pass the EdTPA. The EdTPA is a performance assessment test that you'll finish while you are student teaching. There are 3 parts to it: in planning, instruction, and assessment. The instruction part of it involves audio and video recording yourself teaching in a classroom and then submitting it for assessment. A note to those of you who are thinking about going to a teacher preparation program out of state. If you want to come back to New Jersey, it's really important that you understand about the EdTPA, because if you want to get certified here, you're going to need to have passed that, and it is not a requirement in every state. We have several things that set TCNJ apart in our teacher preparation program. One of those is the nature of our field placements. We start our field placements very early within the programs. In elementary, early childhood, and special education, you may start going out into the fields your freshman year, and in secondary, you'll definitely start going out when you're a sophomore. We try to scaffold those experiences so that they increase in frequency and immersion and level of exposure to students as you go along. So you'll start out your freshman and sophomore years doing some observations, doing some work with small groups, working one-on-one with students, and then move into full-time responsibility for a classroom by the time you're finishing up and doing your student teaching. When you're student teaching, we take into account where you are going to live during that student teaching placement, and then we find you a placement that's within 30 miles of the place where you're going to be living. We don't assume that everyone will be living on campus, although we do have our strongest relationships with schools in this area. We'll make sure that you are with a mentor teacher who meets all of our qualifications and the state qualifications. They're tenured, they're highly effective, and we really trust that they're going to be able to give you a great experience. You'll also be supervised by one of our faculty members from here on campus. Needless to say, if you're watching this, you know that schools have not been business as usual this semester. Our keywords have been flexibility, adaptability, and having a positive attitude. And our student teachers are doing a great job. In fact, a lot of them are really helping their cooperating teachers figure out how to adjust to online teaching. We're really proud of what they have to offer in this new environment. One of our very unique opportunities at TCNJ is global student teaching. We have partnerships with schools around the world where you can go and do part of your student teaching. You can go to places like Bangkok or Ireland or Johannesburg or Tangier, Morocco, or Rome to participate and do the first half of your student teaching in an international school in that country. If you're interested in global student teaching, there will be opportunities for orientations and to express your interest. You will think about the schools, the countries where you might be interested in teaching. You'll be placed there with another group of students. We never send students by themselves. We prefer to send them in groups of 2 or 3. The instruction is always done in English, so you don't need to worry about being bilingual, although a side benefit is that a lot of our students do end up learning parts of another language through their exposure. TCNJ faculty will supervise you during that student teaching. They'll do some of that supervision by video, with you sending video recordings back, and they'll also come to see you in your school. Our STEP office, which stands for Support for Teacher Education Programs, will help you make sure that you're ready for this experience. We're very proud that we have a professional school development school network, which is comprised of schools and districts in our area that are partners with us. They are our K-12 partners in education. We offer professional development for them. We do a lot of placements in those schools, and we try to do as much as we can to really learn from them and also offer things to them. So some of the things we've done for our professional development school network this year, we had a mini conference in January where teachers from around the area, and mostly our PDSN, came to learn about things like social emotional health in students, how to create a welcoming environment for transgender students, and best practices in literacy. We've also raised money to offer teacher inquiry grants to teachers and educators in those districts who are really curious about a particular question. They're working hand in hand with our faculty to figure out some answers to those questions. We've also recently added a staff person in our STEP office so that we can offer more and better professional development for teachers in our professional development school network. This helps us close the circle so that we can continue to make sure that the cooperating teachers our students are working with are the very best and best prepared that they can be. Our wonderful career services office at TCNJ does many things. One of the best things they do for us is offer a series of education interview days in the spring. Each spring, we have 3 education interview days where human resources people, superintendents, principals, supervisors from around the state come to interview our students and help them think about the job opportunities in their districts. Do not think of this as a career fair or a job fair. It is not that. Our students do not line up and wait their turn. Instead, school districts will tell us what openings they anticipate having for the following year, and our students will submit their resumes. Career Services acts as a matchmaker. They find schools that match the opening, that openings match our areas of expertise, and they set up interviews. Last year, we had over 100 school districts come to do interviews, and over 2,300 interviews were done in the course of those 3 days. Leading up to the education interview days, our students go to workshops. Career Services reviews their resumes. They do a lot of preparation for it. Then they have the interviews, and many of our students end up getting jobs, their first jobs, as a result of those education interview days. Career Services has also helped us to put together these data about what happens with our graduates afterwards. The data on this screen show you from the class of 2018, their employment statistics and where they're working. This is for everyone who graduated from an elementary or secondary program within the class of 2018, which includes those students who graduated in special education. You can see that 100% are fully employed or attending graduate school. We have a number of initiatives and partnerships within the School of Education that our undergraduate students can take advantage of. One of them is our Career and Community Studies program, or CCS. CCS is a program for 18 to 25-year-olds with intellectual or developmental disabilities. So these students come to us having finished K-12 education. They are not in a position where a typical college education would be appropriate for them, but they're not ready to stop their post-secondary education. We have a program where these students come, they live on campus, they take courses with us, we adapt curriculum. And one of the key things about this program is that our education students can act as mentors, often in paid positions for these students. It's one of the things that our principals who hire our students tell us is really important for them to see on a resume, because they see that our students have experience working with students who have different kinds of disabilities and they're able to adapt. Every teacher is going to have students who have disabilities and learning differences in their classroom, whether or not they're a teacher of special education. So this is an important way for us to make sure that our students get that kind of inclusive ability. The Literacy Advancement Program started out as a dyslexia project. Every teacher, every elementary teacher in the state needs to have some experience in professional development in identifying and working with students who have dyslexia. Our Literacy Advancement Program works to evaluate students who have dyslexia from K-12 settings, and then we offer tutoring services through several of our classes. The Troublemakers Project is a new project here at TCNJ. Dr. Lauren Shalish, who's in the corner of this picture I'm showing you, started this a few years ago. In collaboration with several of her colleagues from here at TCNJ and working closely with teachers from Trenton Central High School, students from Trenton Central High School, and with students from here at TCNJ, it's a project that focuses on the intersection of disability and social justice within school settings. We've had nationally known speakers come here and work with us, and we're proud to say that some of the mentors in the project in later years started out as troublemakers in the Trenton Central High School themselves. Troublemakers is an interesting word. The way we got that, the person who's right in the center of this, in the yellow skirt kneeling down, is Carla Shalaby. She wrote a book called Troublemakers, and her thesis in the book was that the troublemakers we see in schools are often the canaries in the coal mine. It's not that they're causing trouble, it's that they're pointing out to us that there is trouble that we need to pay attention to. Trenton Middle School Day is an opportunity for every 8th grader in Trenton schools to come to campus to see the opportunities that exist for them in higher education. Our TCNJ students act as their mentors. They help with the planning, the evaluation, and the implementation of Trenton Middle School Day. While the students are on campus, while the 8th graders are on campus, they participate in a career and major fair. They do a scavenger hunt of the campus. They observe performances by some of our student groups. And in what's a highlight for many of them, they go and have lunch at ICOF at our dining hall. Our students are able to really play an important role in this day. The School of Education has 4 departments and programs. 3 of those are primarily undergraduate departments and programs. The first is elementary and early childhood education. Within the elementary and early childhood education department, there are several different concentrations or majors. You can be in the elementary or early childhood 4-year program. You'll also have another major, that's your dual major, as I mentioned before, and you will graduate with a bachelor's degree in both your other major and in elementary or early childhood education and be certified in that area. Your other major also makes you eligible to get the K-12 certification in some cases. So for example, if you are an elementary and Spanish major, you will be certified to teach in an elementary school, but you are also able to get certified to teach K-12 Spanish. And that's true of several of our majors for elementary and early childhood education. Another option for both elementary and early childhood is to do the 5-year urban education program. The 5-year urban elementary or urban early childhood education program gets you everything I talked about before, the bachelor's degree, the other major, and then you also graduate with a master's degree in urban education. That master's degree includes certification in English as a second language, or ESL. That teaching ESL is one of the key things that principals look for, having that kind of experience. I'll also mention that one of the most popular second majors for students in elementary and early childhood education is ISTEM, Integrated Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. This major is actually housed in the School of Engineering, and it gives students a chance to think about the concepts of all of those different fields and how they can be integrated. They take several classes in each of the areas and pick one area in which to focus. That major is something that is highly, highly sought after by principals and superintendents. Another department is Special Education, Language, and Literacy, or our SEL department. Our SEL department has 5-year programs for the most part. If you are a SEL major, special education, you will get certified in special education or teacher of students with disabilities, as well as elementary or early childhood education. So you'll be certified in both of those things. You'll also have the dual major, the math, the biology, the women and gender studies, one of the 14 choices that we have for you. All of those programs are 5-year programs. So you end up with certification in more than one area, and you end up with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. We also have within the SEL department the deaf and hard of hearing programs. Deaf and hard of hearing programs, we are the only institution in the state that certifies people to teach deaf students who are deaf or hard of hearing. Our newest program is our 4-year speech and language pathology program. For years, we had a master's degree in speech and language pathology when we used to be Trenton State College. The criteria for that master's degree changed, and because we did not have a clinic, we had to get rid of our master's degree, but we had very, very high demand for this major. So we had many students who were doing our self-designed major, and then they decided that they wanted to create this speech and go to graduate school in speech and language pathology. So we knew that we had a good track record of preparing people in speech and language pathology. This is a 4-year program. You cannot be a speech pathologist unless you have a master's degree. So what we do in our speech pathology program is give you a lot of different experiences to help you decide what kind of speech pathologist do you want to be. Do you want to work with young children? Do you want to work with people who have disabilities? Do you want to work with veterans who are trying to relearn how to speak after a traumatic brain injury? Do you want to work in a nursing home with seniors who have had strokes? We'll help you narrow that down, and that will help you figure out what kind of graduate program you want to apply to. Our third department is Educational Administration and Secondary Education. If you want to teach high school, this will be your home department. We have secondary programs in physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, English, history, economics, and perhaps one more that I'm not thinking of right now. Our secondary education program has also expanded recently. So you can be a straight secondary education major, and you can get your 4-year bachelor's degree and be certified to teach in that area. You can also we have 2 new 5-year programs. One is our 5-year program in urban education, which gives you additional coursework in English as a second language, literacy, or special education. You choose your concentration after talking with your advisor. You'll also graduate with a master's degree. The other one that we've just started is our secondary special education program, which gives you, at the end of your time, certification in your K-12 area, certification in special education, and both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And after you graduated and you want to come back and get certified as a teacher leader or a school principal, the educational administration part of this department will be your home. Counselor education is only a graduate program. So all of our students in here are pursuing master's degrees. They're pursuing them in concentrations like clinical mental health or school counseling or substance abuse. There are also several minors and specializations that you can do here at TCNJ within the School of Education. One of our newest ones is the Environmental Sustainability Education minor. This is a minor that pairs well with any level, any major for education. It gives teachers the ability to think really clearly about what environmental education in a changing world and changing climate means for our students. Deaf studies is for people who may or may not want to be teachers, but they think they may want to work with people who are deaf. So this is for people who want to work with either children or adults who are deaf, and includes classes in American Sign Language. By the way, American Sign Language can be taken as a second language here at TCNJ, whether or not you're a student who's in the School of Education. One of our other minors is communication disorders. If you're not sure if speech pathology is a good route for you, but it's something you'd like to explore, you can minor in communication disorders and still apply to graduate schools in speech and language pathology. We also offer a middle school specialization. So students who are majoring in either elementary or secondary education can take the courses for the middle school specialization. There are special colloquia, opportunities to mentor, and field placements working in middle schools. That middle school specialization for grades 6 through 8 is added on to your either K-6 or your high school certification and gives you more flexibility. I really wish that I was able to take you around and show you our School of Education building because it is truly beautiful. It's one of the newest buildings on campus. We opened it in 2012, and it's probably the most beautiful School of Education building I've seen on the different campuses that I've worked on. We have several model classrooms. Right across the hall from the dean's office on the first floor are our early childhood and elementary model classrooms. These are classrooms that have been designed and set up to look like elementary school classrooms and early childhood classrooms so that our students can do model lessons and structure centers and do things in the way that they will when they're actually teaching. We also have a STEM model classroom that works really well to help our students think about how they'll prepare labs and experiments when they're out teaching. Every classroom in our building is a smart classroom so that students can get used to the technology that they may be using when they're out in schools. We also are one of the few buildings on campus that has mass lecture halls and multi-purpose rooms. This works really well for us when we have guest speakers come to address large audiences or when we want to combine classes for different purposes. And I can't forget to mention that we have the EdCaf, or the Education Café, on the first floor of our building, which ends up being a great place for students not only to get something to eat, but also to have some study time. So I encourage you to connect with us. Our website is education.tcnj.edu, and you'll find a lot more information about the things that I mentioned here. We're also on Twitter and on Facebook. If you have any questions, please send us an email. Our general education email account is educat@tcnj.edu, and we'll make sure that that gets through to you. In conclusion, one thing I want to say to you is that I came to TCNJ first as a parent. My son was interested in looking at colleges, and he was interested in TCNJ, and so we came, and that really sparked my interest. I'm so glad that I've found a home here. My older son went to Rutgers, which is where I also went. There's nothing wrong with being a Scarlet Knight, but parents, what's important for you to know about the difference is that it's much easier to move students into a residence hall at TCNJ than it is at Rutgers. Thank you so much, and please be in touch with us.